Hello, everybody. This interview is with Conrad Cabaney. To me, he's an amazing gentleman and just has an amazing story to tell everybody. He swam across Lake Erie. He did it in 2018, and when he did it, he wasn't looking to break the record, but he ended up breaking the record. The fastest person to swim across Lake Erie at the time. Just amazing man with a great, in my opinion, a great story. Hopefully, you guys like it, and please share it. And this is his story. Let's get on with it. When did you swim Lake Erie?
2017?
2017. So
2017?
It was pre-pandemic.
Yeah, it was pre-pandemic.
Yeah. So what? So you got your nursing degree. What happened? You don't have to get into detail, but
yeah. So after I graduated, I was kind of done with swimming. Didn't want anything to do with it. Just burnt out. Really put that aside in life. Didn't look at a pool. Didn't touch the water. Didn't really care. Just wanted to start my professional career. Moved down to Pittsburgh. Worked at Children's Hospital of Pittsburgh in their ER for like 2.5 years. And then I moved to Chicago for a year, and that's kind of where I got the inkling to return back to the pool. And when I went to Chicago, that was in 2016. So maybe it was 2018 I swam Lake Erie. 2018 is when I swam Lake Erie, I think.
When did the Cubs win the World Series?
2016, and then 2017 I came back
to train,
and then 2018 I swam Lake Erie. So 2014 to 2016 I was in Pittsburgh. 2016 to 2017 I was in Chicago.
No swimming.
Well, the spring of 2017 is when I started to get back into the pool. I just felt like I needed to work out. I don't like running. I don't like doing a few other activities. Swimming's always kind of been my thing. So I started getting back into the pool again. And
was this in Chicago?
Yeah.
Okay.
I got a membership they had a local community pool in a neighborhood called Boys Town, which was like just northeast of where I lived in Wrigleyville. And I would go there maybe like 2-3 times a week, maybe swim an hour. It really wasn't that much.
On your own?
On my own, yeah. No organized practice or anything like that. So I started hitting the pool again. And, I started thinking to myself, hey, I think I can do something big. And Lake Erie has always, it's kind of been a thing for my friend group and Erie swimmers in general. I think like that's the epitome of excellence.
So at what point did you say a light bulb came and I'm going to swim Lake Erie? This is a definite thing. Were you in Chicago still? Did you move back to Pittsburgh? When was that? They're like, you know what? Screw everybody. I'm going to do this.
That was, I was in Chicago that spring when I first started getting back into the water. So spring of 2017, I said like, I think I want to train to swim Lake Erie. Tommy had done it in, I believe, 2015.
Tommy Steele.
Which
is a friend of yours from high school.
And Mr. North had done it. And I was ready to just get back into shape, and it's just something I wanted to do. And I think I only spent a year in Chicago, and coming back to Pittsburgh was a humbling moment. It kind of felt like I failed in Chicago. Like I couldn't make it in a big city. So when I came back to Pittsburgh, I wanted to excel at my job. I wanted to go back to school. And I wanted to swim Lake Erie. So the summer of 2017, I made a decision to move back to Pittsburgh. Talked to my old boss in Pittsburgh. Said, hey, I want to come back. Will you have a job for me? He said, yep, come back. Talked to him about swimming Lake Erie. Took my GMAT, got into business school. And the fall of 2017, I made a deal with work that would work every Friday night, Sunday night, and Monday night, 7 p.m. to 7 a.m. So I could standardize my training schedule and go to school And I mean, all the wheels were set in motion that summer of 2017. And I really started getting back into it fall of 2017 once I got settled in Pittsburgh.
Where did you train at?
I trained primarily at the Jewish Community Center in Pittsburgh. So my training schedule would be, I would get off of work at 7 a.m. Monday morning, go and swim at the JCC probably 8 to 10, come back home, sleep a little bit, go to work Monday at 7. Tuesday at 7 p.m. when I got out of work, I'd go back to the JCC, train again, and after that I would sleep for like 12, 14 hours. I was just exhausted. Monday was like a hell day. Wednesday, I'd probably wake up like 10, 11 o'clock, maybe get to the pool like sometime in the afternoon, train for 2 hours, sleep overnight. Thursday I would train for 2 hours sometime during the day. It was a free day. Friday I would kind of take off and flip my schedule back to night shift. Friday I would work 7 p until 7 a Saturday. I'd get off of work 7 a Saturday and I would do like 2, 3, 4 hours in the pool. And then Sunday I would do 2 hours and then you're back to working Sunday night into Monday.
Well, I guess anybody could just swim across Lake Erie, but to make it official, who did you have to talk to, and when did you start like swimming, open swimming for practices? How did that go about?
I started so around June. The lake starts heating up a little bit. I got a wetsuit for myself. So what I would do is Monday I would still swim in a pool. After work Monday into Tuesday I would drive up to Erie.
Which is 2.5 hours?
Yeah, 2 hours away. I'd stay with my grandparents. And then when it was really cold, I would just have my grandfather go out and watch me swim while I was in a wetsuit. And I swam with a buoy on me. And I didn't swim very long. I swam like maybe 45 minutes an hour. It's really hard to swim when the water's like 50, 60 degrees. It's really, really cold. You can't be in too long. Frankly, it was a little dumb and dangerous. Probably should have been in the pool still. But when the water warmed up in July, my brother was home from college at the time, and I'd pick him up. We would go to Tim Hortons. We'd get some coffee, and he would kayak next to me, and I would swim from up. I would get in around Beach 1, swim up to Beach 6, which would be 2.5 miles, and swim back 2.5 miles. So I would do that Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, drive back to Pittsburgh on Thursday, and work Friday, Sunday, Monday.
It seemed like a hard journey for you to find a boat and a captain willing to do that. Mm-hmm. What was that process like, and how did that come through to you?
That was really frustrating, and I think looking back, I didn't realize how much goes into it from a boating perspective. It's really tough on your boat to just kind of idle and just putz along for 24 miles in Lake Erie, potentially when it's choppy, potentially when the conditions aren't ideal. So hindsight being 2020, I do understand why it was so hard to find a boat. Frustrating at the time. But yeah, we were striking out with boats like left and right. We couldn't find one, and then you knew Dom Pichelle, and he knew someone else who had a boat, and his name was Liam Kelly. And I mean, it's kind of a big risk on his part, right? You don't know how serious I've been to try and take on this endeavor. He's taking a risk and a gamble on someone he doesn't know to try and make this happen, sacrificing his time, his money, and everything like that. We did pay him, and I'm sure he could have charged more, but it was really hard to find a boat, and I'm so happy he took that risk on me, and he was the perfect person for the job. He was just such a great personality to lead that makeshift crew and to get us across Lake Erie. It was absolutely perfect, and it all worked out the way it was supposed to. We were down I think to the last like 3 weeks. And usually they like you to find a boat in April. And
Day of the swim. Let's get into that a little bit.
Yeah.
What did you like? How did that go? Did you like drive across that same morning? Did you do it the night before? And you like, how did that whole process go?
So it was like Wednesday, and they said you can go Friday or Saturday. Those are the 2 days that look good. We decided on Saturday with everybody's schedule working Monday through Friday. That was to accommodate pretty much the entire team. It's not just me who did this. It's a whole group of people who made this happen on the boat. So we decided on Saturday. We loaded the boat Friday night, probably like 4 or 5 o'clock. We probably set off 6, 7 o'clock at night, got there at 8. Then we set anchor just off of Long Point, Ontario. And in the trip over, all the water was just flat as glass, completely flat. And then probably I got in, took a dip, just relaxed a little bit on the boat. We were all telling jokes, trying to keep it loose. I had a beer that night just to like relax. I went to bed probably about 10 o'clock. And then 3 o'clock in the morning, I just... I'm like, what's that? And the boat's just starting to rock. I'm like, oh, okay. All right, maybe it will settle out over the course of the night. You know, hopefully it will settle out in the next few hours. And then like 6 o'clock in the morning when I'm getting ready to go, it's starting to pick up more. And I'm like, oh, boy. So when we started, it was pretty rough. I started, I think, like 6:30, somewhere around there. And like I said, we had an issue where...
Right off the bat?
Right off the bat, we had kayaks sinking. And Mitchell was the only one who could stay in a kayak where it wasn't sinking. And I feel so bad for those guys on the boat and those girls on the boat. They were hauling out kayaks that were just absolutely flooded. Liam, instead of like setting course, is driving back to pick up people in the middle of Lake Erie who are flooded, dragging kayaks out that are just filled with water. You need a kayak. And poor guy, he was supposed to be in for an hour and we were supposed to rotate, and he didn't get to rotate out for like 6 hours. And then like over the course of the day, the wave started settling down a little bit and other people could kayak, but he's like the unsung hero of the day. Without him, they probably would have had to cancel, because just it wouldn't have been safe for me. Just safety wise, you just can't have me in the middle of Lake Erie with a boat a quarter mile off and me just bobbing. Once we got to the state like in the middle of nowhere, like 5-6 hours in, it got better. It was still a little choppy, but it got much better. Initially, it was a little rough, but it was just kind of funny. Like once I got in, there's a weird calmness that just kind of came about, and I just knew I was going to make it from point A to point B. It might have hurt. It might have taken me longer than I wanted it to. I was thinking at the time, like, hey, this may take me 15 hours instead of 12. But, you know, I'll make it from point A to point B.
You're not going to quit.
I'm not going to quit. It's okay. Like, I'll just make it through. It's going to hurt. There's going to come a point in time where I just don't want to go, but you just keep going. That's it.
I know at some point somebody was yelling out to you. And I know you don't want to talk about this. You feel bad about it. But, you're out there. You don't want to hear BS, but you heard it. What was said to you that like kind of triggered you a little bit? Well, it's not a big deal. And at the time, you kind of like feel bad that you kind of, but everybody understands.
Yeah, so they didn't tell me where I was. And I told everybody on the boat. And the people I had on the boat were Tommy Steele. He was my observer. Mike Nightinger, and he's someone I worked at Presque Isle with, and all 4 years, and he was a collegiate swimmer as well. Mitchell, Brian Haney, who I worked with at Children's, Sean Tucker, who I worked with at Children's, my high school swim coach, Paula All's house, one of my co-swimmers at Mercier's, Maria Tarbell, and then my mom was on the boat.
Mom had to go.
Mom had to go.
which is totally understandable.
Someone from the family had to go, and
Yeah,
it was going to be her.
Yep.
And I told them, don't tell me where I'm at. Just tell me to keep going. Once I'm like 2 hours out, let me know. And I'm probably about 2 hours out, and I'm like, hey guys, like I'm getting gassed. I need to know how far I'm going. And they're just like, go, go, go. And I'm like, you gotta tell me where I'm at. They're like, you can beat the record. Go, go, go. And I'm just like, I don't give a...
Go ahead.
I don't give a fuck about the fucking record. And then I just swam away in like a little hissy fit. And, you know, at the time I was just like, I don't care if I beat the... I don't really care at all. I just want to be done. And at the end of the day, you know, I apologize to everybody.
Oh, until this day, you still apologize.
Yeah, most definitely.
That's just your nature.
Yeah,
okay,
most
when did you see landfall? I mean, did you like? Holy shit! There's USA.
I tried not to look forward, and I think it's a pretty good parallel with life. Don't keep focusing on your goal. If you're doing a big endeavor, because if you're always focusing on the end goal, whether it's your career or maybe saving for something or wherever you want to be financially, don't focus on the end point. You focus on how far you've already come. So whenever I would stop and tread water and like drink my protein shake, I wouldn't look forward. I would look back, and I knew I was getting further and further because there's a big lighthouse where you start in Canada, and that lighthouse becomes further and further and further until you can't see it. And then when you turn, there's these bluffs, and the bluffs never really get bigger until like you're right there. So it was always look back, see how far you've come, as opposed to look forward and see how far you need to go. It's just much easier mentally to see all the progress you made as opposed to how far left you have to go.
That's awesome. That's an awesome way to think of things.
You know.
Awesome.
It's kind of like years later when I did Tahoe a few months ago, it was the same thing. They said, don't look forward. Those mountains in Tahoe, they're going to seem like they're never coming closer until finally the last little bit they're right there. But look back and see how much progress you made and see how far you're getting. Don't look further and see how far you need to go. It's just so mentally taxing. So sometimes I try to translate that to my life and see not where I need to go in 5, 10, 15, 20, 50 years. It's see how far I've come from a year ago, 5 years ago, 10 years ago, 20 years ago. And you're always making progress from where you've been. If that makes sense?
To where you're at now.
To where you're at now.
So, what was your
Not as
thought
encompassing.
when you, were 100 yards from the finish line? You knew, you were like, where is the ground? It's got to be here.
Oh, no, like, you go in. Like, you see the ground, and all you want to do is stop. But it's just not efficient to walk all the way back up. You swim all the way up. I mean, 100 yards out, I was welling up. I was just, really, really proud of myself. But the only thing I could think was, don't pass out. When you get out of the water, you're horizontal. Like, you're horizontal for how many hours? 10, 11 hours. Just don't pass out. Like, when you first stand up, all the blood rushes from your brain, and I'm just like, just get out. Don't pass out. Stand up. Get your wits about you. Take, calm, deep breaths, and on your terms, sit back down. And I think that was a pretty cool moment, how it worked out, because I get out of the water and I just shake Josh's hand, and was standing there for a little bit, and it was a point of pride. It came from like a point of pride from me. I was just like, I'm going to stand and I'm going to sit down on my own terms, and people are like, sit down, sit down, sit down. And it's funny because like your adrenaline's going at that point, and it doesn't hit you until you're walking to the parking lot. Oh man, I may pass out again. And I'm just like, oh, I'm getting woozy, and thankfully like the car was right there, but I was fine. I mean, and like I think that's a testament to like my training is I was able to go back and have a party after, not like a big party. I was able to have a few beers, have food, stuff like that. I took like 45 minutes downtime just to kind of like sit in like the tub for a hot
I was
second.
going to say, you came back, you sat in the tub, warmed up a little bit.
Yeah.
I mean, you had to have been cold.
Yeah, it wasn't that bad, but it was just like, hey, my body just needs to rest for a little bit. But I was up until like 12:01.
Yes.
And I was fine. And like the very next day, it was a little tight, a little sore, but nothing like I was incapacitated. And I think that's a real testament to the work I put in. That instead of like going into on the other end of like that spectrum is like inadequately preparing, where your body shuts down and like goes into some scary things like rhabdo and like needing a hospital observation and everything like that. It wasn't even concern at all. I was able to just basically go through like day-to-day life, and within a week.
What was the record and what was your time?
It was, I think, 11 hours, 15 minutes, 16 minutes, something like that. I went like 10 hours, 56 minutes.
So you beat the 11 hours.
Yeah. And then someone else went like 10 hours, 30-some minutes. And like, that's just great. It's just good for...
Records are meant to be broken. But you had the record for a whole year.
Yeah.
It's something to be proud of.
Oh, most definitely.
How many people before you swam that and you had the record? You beat all them people.
Yeah, it was...
You don't give yourself enough credit as a
Yeah,
I'm telling you that.
Yeah, but it's a good thing in terms of the organization I went with, Lake Erie Open Water Swimming Association, that mark keeps getting cut down, and better swimmers hopefully will come in, and it will be maybe not as big and prestigious as the English Channel, but maybe one day we can grow this bigger and bigger and bigger. So it is like Lake Tahoe, like the Catalina Swim, like the English Channel. Hopefully it becomes that one day, and that's good for the Erie community. That's good for the organization. You're bringing people in who want to do this.
Now, what would you give to a person that is thinking about doing it? What advice would you give them? We're going to wrap this up here in the next 5 minutes.
Okay. I would say talk to people who have done open water swims. It doesn't have to exactly be Erie, but have done over a 20-mile open water swim, and see how they've done it. Everybody has their own story on how they did their training, and everybody else has like different lifestyle constraints, whether it be work, whether it be kids. Everybody's training story is a little different, and that's okay. There's no one way to do this. The biggest thing is come up with a plan, and you stick to that plan. And if you're gonna train, don't train just to do the bare minimum. You have to overtrain, and ultimately that's just for your own safety. So if you're thinking like at the bare minimum, I need to do 25,000 yards a week, which is like bare minimum. You're going to want to do 40,000 yards a week, and you're not going to be able to do that every single week. But again, it's the progression. Are you doing it 3 out of 4 weeks? That's better than doing it 2 out of 4 weeks, half the time. So it's just having a plan and then sticking to that plan and over all the Great Lakes. But it requires, like I said, a lot of time, money, and I think the most important one is time, whether that be time improving myself in other areas, or time that you don't get back with friends and family. I don't want to be missing important events in life you can't get back that you share with others. Well, I want my swimming to always be something that everybody else, it may be a burden at times, but overall I want it to, it is a positive thing, but I want to continue to have it be a positive thing in my life, and a positive thing that I can share with everybody, as opposed to me demanding the pursuit of my own goals. And sometimes I have to take a back seat to other people's goals, and that's okay. That's okay. You know, I can't selfishly pursue everything I want to pursue, and not pay attention to all the other people in my life.
And not to, I want to add on to that. You recently got engaged,
Mm-hmm.
so you have a partner there.
Mm-hmm.
That you're focusing time on too, and shout out to her for supporting you with the tall swim.
Yeah, most definitely.
That is huge. Having a partner that understands your swimming, and
yeah, just all the hours that go on. Everybody just sees the pictures on social media, Facebook, Instagram, of us being happy in the boat and that it's done, and everybody sees the triumph of social media, but they don't see the sacrifices that she had to do, whether it be taking care of our dogs, whether it be, you know, maintaining the house, or cooking meals, or, you know, picking up overtime, which is something I can't do in my job, to sacrifice to make my dreams come true. So, yeah, again, like going back, it takes everybody, and everybody has to be on board. And, you know, we're trying to figure out where we want to end up, where we want to be, and I think that deserves more attention right now than my individual goals. And we can always come back to my individual goals. There's swimmers who are 50, 60 doing these swims. I'm 30. I have a lot of time to do them. It takes a lot of time to do them, but you don't get back those small moments with Susie, my fiance. You don't get back those small moments with you, with Mason, watching his game today. You know, I don't want to train right now in Erie and miss those moments with my friends and family for and it is a selfish pursuit. It's supposed to add to my life. It's not supposed to take from it. So I think I have a few other things that are more pressing that I need to figure out before I can devote myself to a large endeavor like this again.
Awesome. Way to finish up, man.
Yeah.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Appreciate it.
Hey, no problem.